I've officially decided that I'm going to become the best artist I possibly can. Maybe you can relate to this. I feel like I have so many ideas, so many projects that I want to create, so many things that I want to put out into the world, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't been happening. And that is why I'm bringing in the big guns. The artist way. This is week 1, let's get it done. The focus of the first week of the Artist's Way is recovering a sense of safety. Julia pulls us in with exploring our creativity with less fear. In this video, I'm going to share with you a brief overview of the lessons of week 1. So we will talk about the support we require as artists from ourselves, but also from the people around us. How we can hide from our own dreams and be stuck living as our shadow artists. How being willing to make bad art just might be the secret to making great art. And also about negative self-beliefs and how we can rewrite them for ourselves. And I'll also be sharing a little bit with how I've been working through the course, what's been helping me to really commit to the process, what's gone well, what hasn't gone well, and a few things that I'm going to be doing to improve for next week. First up, support for artists. One of our chief needs as creative beings is support. Because we live in a capitalistic society and creativity is by definition the exact opposite of productivity, it means that we get told a lot of stories and develop a lot of beliefs that make it kind of hard for us to pursue our creativity with ease, because it feels like pursuing creativity can be in exact opposition with success and with safety, as this chapter goes into. So instead of the encouragement that we crave as artists, as creatives, as human beings, we're often met with attempts to persuade us to pursue a more practical and secure path. And honestly, there's so much I have to say on that I could make a whole separate video about it. Like, I know I was definitely taught that seriously pursuing art as a career was some kind of delusional pipe dream. And I also grew up with no examples of people who proved that long. I didn't grow up around people who were artists, who showed me that it was a thing that you could have as an actual job, or even showed me it was something that you could pursue actively throughout your adult life. So instead of the support that I craved, I was told that I should get a real job and just do art on the weekends. It was only when I was at university studying psychology that I started to find people online who were making their art, and they were making money from making their art. They had it as their actual job. I saw it was a possibility and not just a pipe dream. And so for me, the internet became my support system. It showed me opportunities and it gave me a space to share the art that I was experimenting with. There's a line in the book that I love. Very often, audacity, not talent, makes one person an artist and another a shadow artist. Which brings us to the plan B option that can leave us feeling stuck and dissatisfied, honestly, for the rest of our lives, living as a shadow artist. This is what Julia Cameron has to say about it. Too intimidated to become artists themselves, very often too low in self-worth to even recognize that they have an artistic dream, these people become shadow artists instead. This is where we get ourselves as close as comfortable to observing a creative life, but not close enough that we actually get to submerge ourselves. Living as a shadow artist means that you spectate others. You watch other people doing the thing that you want to do, and it's the closeness to it that you're having a way for art to still live in your life, having a way for you to explore the things that you want to do, the ways that you want to create, but it's at a distance. So you feel like you're keeping yourself safe because you're not really diving into it. And you feel like you're satisfying yourself because you get to observe it, but you never get to feel fulfilled because you don't get to do the things you really want to be doing. The more you observe other people living out your dreams, the hungrier you become. And so the more you consume and the less and less you actually let yourself create. For all shadow artists, life may be a discontented experience, filled with a sense of missed purpose and unfulfilled promise. They want to write, they want to paint, they want to act, make music, dance, but they're afraid to take themselves seriously. This shit is heartbreaking. And it is common. To allow yourself to create means to allow yourself to be vulnerable. There's a lot of mistakes to be made, a lot of putting yourself out there, putting your ideas, putting your work out into the world, and that requires a certain amount of strength and stamina. But the good news is you don't need to have all of the confidence out the gate. There are so many ways that you can start taking up your space as an artist, no matter how long you have been living in the shadows. This is where I encourage you to make bad art. Sweet babe, your artist is a child. You're new to this. When you create, especially if you haven't done it in a while or potentially ever, you are quite literally a beginner. And so why are you being so mean to yourself? There's this thing that happens when we become adults that I hate. We stop letting ourselves be beginners. We stop letting ourselves learn new things. And that is basically the recipe for becoming a boring and defeated human. If you want to live an interesting and dynamic and motivated life, that involves pursuing new things constantly. It is impossible to get better and look good at the same time. If you're expecting yourself to be an expert right away, that is a surefire way to stop yourself from ever really getting good at something, let alone to let yourself enjoy doing that thing. I want you to think about how we treat children when they are learning something new. Do we say, bruh, you can't even walk, you idiot, what a loser, falling down all the time, you are never gonna get good at this? No, because that would make you a straight up demon. Instead, we continually encourage the child to take their first steps repeatedly. We laugh it off with them as they stumble and they fall, because we know it's just a case of repetition. It's no flaw of the child that they can't do something yet, that they can't walk yet. We know it's simply a thing of, oh, you just learn it. This is normal. It's normal to get something wrong, to not have everything down the first couple of attempts that you go. We know it's something that we progressively get good at. We don't expect children to be brilliant at something they have literally never done before. Why do we expect that of ourselves? Give yourself permission to be a beginner. By being willing to be a bad artist, you have a chance to be an artist and perhaps over time, a very good one. Okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about all the nasty shit you've been saying to yourself and how you are gonna flip that script. Trust me, I'm with you on this. I can be frighteningly mean to myself. Because of these stories that I have picked up through my life, I can hold these internal blocks between where I'm at and where I want to be, how I want to feel about myself and what feels like the truth. This little sticky area is where fear can take the reins. And if we don't do anything about it, these negative beliefs will start to crystallize in our minds, and the more space that we give them, the harder it becomes to defy them. If you keep telling yourself that you can't be successful, that you can't be a prolific creative artist because you'll never have enough money, or you'll go crazy, or you don't have enough good ideas, then that belief gets so strong, it gets so many reps in your mind that it will overpower any desires that you have to actually be creative, to actually go out and pursue yourself, to do the thing that feels fucking terrifying to do now. This is where you pull out the big guns. Affirmations. Because the negative beliefs that we cling on to can hold so much power over us, it only makes sense that to combat these perceived restrictions with even more powerful positive beliefs, then we literally rewrite our own stories, which really in itself is a creative dream. Like, what a fun creative exercise to write new beliefs, write new aspirations. If you want an affirmation to work, to actually become your truth, then you need to explore all the ways that it doesn't feel like it's your truth. Unfortunately, we can't just slap an affirmation chipped band-aid on our self-esteem and expect ourselves to be entirely transformed. The mission here is to break down those negative self-beliefs. As you say an affirmation, for example, my creativity leads me to massive fulfillment and abundance. That doesn't feel entirely true for you. It's very natural for your brain to be like, whoa, whoa, pump the brake. Here are all the reasons that that isn't true and it can't be true, and all of these stuff that you've been hoarding for years that disproves that statement. It gets very loud, but don't panic, don't quit. This is what you want to happen. This like flood of negative thoughts and explanations for why you can't live the way that you want to live and create the art that you want to create. This is your opportunity to clear out the gunk. So you know when you have a spot, this is gross, but stay with me. You know when you have a spot and you know the best way, the only way that that spot is going to clear is if the gunk gets out. But you also know that if you force the gunk out, it's going to be a bit more gnarly, it's going to be a bit grosser, it's not going to be smooth sailing, it's going to take longer to heal. Instead, if you put on whatever potions and lotions that you particularly like to use and you kind of coax the gunk out and you clear your skin slowly, gradually, but purposefully, then in no time you've got clear, glowing skin again. So this is what you do to rewrite negative beliefs. You blare out all of the objections that come up and you write yourself counter affirmations. You give the negative space to be heard and for you to disprove it, for you to hear it and be like, I hear you, I see you, but that's not exactly the truth and this is why. You don't just ignore the thoughts hoping that they'll one day go away. You address them, you clear out the gunk, and you give space for new positive beliefs to take over. Something that I like to do as well to add a little extra layer onto this is I like to find examples for the new counter affirmations. I like to find examples of people who are expanders to me, who've done the thing and are example of like living and breathing that reality in their own life, and that serves as proof to me that I'm not just crazy for thinking this is possible, because another human like me has done it as well. It's really helpful to find these alternative examples that give weight to this different way of thinking and living and showing yourself that it is entirely possible. All right, I want to share a little bit with how week one has been playing out for me. Morning pages have been an absolute dream. Every time I get into a good habit of doing morning pages, I don't know how I go through like extended periods of time, like months and years, without doing them as a purposeful practice. I absolutely love journaling. I'm always journaling in some capacity, but specifically doing like this 3 pages of just whatever in the mornings, I don't know, like Julie Cam was just on it with that one. She nailed it. I've done morning pages every single day. Some days I don't write an entire 3 pages. Some days I feel like I could write 30 pages, but I have been showing up for this practice every single day, and it's really helpful. Like it really gets easier to write the 3 pages as well. Some days it might feel impossible. Some days it feels like, as I said, I can write 30 pages. But I think for the most part, it really is a helpful tool for me to just know what I am thinking, to be aware of the thoughts and to clear space, clear out the stuff that I'm like, why am I even, having this thing on repeat in my mind? Why am I wasting my energy with that? It helps me have a place to see what I'm really thinking and feeling about something, because I'm giving it a little bit of extra space to live. I'm letting myself focus on it for a few sentences before I move on to the next thing. Just 100%, 10 out of 10, recommend morning pages, get it done. For my artist day this week, I went to go see Renaissance, Beyonce's movie, and it literally, oh my god, it was obviously just the most inspiring thing to see. I sobbed throughout the whole thing. I was smiling, I was so happy. I left the cinema feeling so inspired and so motivated. And it was really a great reminder to me that, there's so many different documentaries or things that we can watch, whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, an episode of a TV show. There are so many people who do inspire me, and sometimes when I'm just scrolling through whatever happens to come up on social media, I get really bored because I'm not necessarily seeing people making big moves, and I can forget that people are really out here making big moves. I would much rather spend my time sitting down to watch a 2-hour movie or a half an hour episode on something that really genuinely inspires me to my core, rather than just this passive consumption of whatever happens to come up. My artist day this week really reminded me of how much value I can get from positively consuming things, and more so like consuming things on purpose, like making a decision that I want to go watch this thing because I know it's going to be a really motivating and inspiring thing to watch, and doing that instead of being a little bit more lazy about it. And even like the content of it aside, like it also reminded me that I really love a solo cinema trip. I used to work at a cinema years and years ago, and that really made me so comfortable with going to the cinema by myself. I would go to see like multiple movies a week. I love it so much. I get so inspired just by films in general, and yeah, I just want to be a little bit more purposeful about watching things on purpose and letting myself soak up the things that I specifically find really exciting. And then when I didn't do so well, so I didn't do many of the activities this week, and I want to be more purposeful about that for next week. One that I did that I really did enjoy was the imaginary lives. So if you had 5 other lives to lead, what would you do for each of them? Literally just writing this out was really healing for me. I think a feeling that I have, like you might relate to this, but a feeling that I have is like I'll never have enough time to do everything that I want to do, or almost as if I need to be aware of some kind of multiverse where I'm doing all these different things and I have these different identities and I'm able to prioritize different goals in all these different lives. And it can feel like it's actually quite a common thing that comes up for me, of just kind of feeling a little bit frantic about that, of like, am I picking the right thing? Do I need to switch to this other timeline? Maybe you relate, maybe I'm crazy. So writing out this imaginary lives kind of allowed me to play around in the fantasy of these different lives of what multiverse Gabby might be up to. But it also made me even clearer that I'm really, really happy to be living in this particular timeline and to be having this life and to be having the experiences and the opportunities that I have now. And it was nice. That is a cute thing to realize. If you're doing the artist way, please leave a comment below. I would love to know how you are progressing, how you're finding it, what feels great to you, what feels sticky for you. I'm also doing monthly live calls in my membership, the Creatrix Coven. So if you want to join us and talk for real about this program and also access a bunch of my courses and masterclasses in there, there's also a private podcast, and we do monthly live creating sessions. It is my favorite place on the internet, just saying. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this video for literally so much more content like this. We have 11 weeks left. We have so much to talk about. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.